Hello once again, my dear viewers, to Infamous Animation, where garbage comes to life. Well, I'm concluding my reviews of the 3 lowest grossing animated films today, and seeing as we just left the Easter season, I decided to save this one until last. Now, biblical epics are no strangers to Hollywood. There are several films out there, all with varying critical success, from Ben-Hur to King of Kings, The Greatest Story Ever Told, and Cecil B. DeMille's The Ten Commandments, an adaptation of the Book of Exodus, the second story of the Bible which focuses on Moses leading the Hebrews to freedom from their oppressive Egyptian masters. About 3 decades later, Exodus was adapted once more into an animated film in the form of Prince of Egypt, DreamWorks Pictures' second animated feature, and, thankfully, several steps above their first. Now, a decade later, after this release, some nobody studio thought it'd be a good idea to put one more version of Moses' story to film. And that's what we have today, the second lowest grossing animated film of all time, an independent production of The Ten Commandments. Let's dig right in. So we open with a panoramic view of ancient Egypt, as we... I'm sorry, viewers. I must have left in one of my old PlayStation 1 games by mistake. Here, let me just pause it so that I can save the game and let's get on the review. I'm so sorry about this.
It was a time of pharaohs, a time of monuments. It was a time of wealth and a time of slavery. As the great pharaoh...
Those unskippable cutscenes.
There were so many of these slaves that fear gripped Pharaoh's heart.
This isn't a game, is it? This is the movie. This is the CG we have to put up with for 90 minutes? When did Video Brinquedo get their tax return? So our narrator, Ben Kingsley, sets the stage for... Wait a minute, Ben Kingsley? How did they get Ben Kingsley to do this? You know, I'm beginning to see a disturbing trend here. Freddie Prinze Jr. was the lead in both Happily Never After and Delgo, and Bancroft was the queen from Ants and tried to be queen in Delgo. Now, Ben Kingsley's gone from voicing a French frog in Freddy as FR07 to narrating a piss-poor adaptation of the life of Moses. Ben Kingsley has been in the 3rd and 2nd lowest grossing animated films of all time. What do you say to that?
These Hebrews, these children of Israel, I don't like them.
Really? So we begin this movie proper with the Pharaoh of Egypt ordering that all male Hebrew infants are to be tossed into the Nile, and he chews so much scenery doing so that it explains the poor texturing. At night, Yocheved and Miriam go to send Moses down the river.
But I should be out there protecting him!
Tonight, that's not what God would want.
Well, what does God want?
Gee, beasties, look at his arm! Look, if you can't make muscles properly contract and extend, then simplify the forms! Do I really have to tell you this?
The gods have given me a son, and he will be known as my son, and a prince over all men. Because he was drawn from the water, his name shall be Moses.
Your Highness?
Yes, child. You may approach me.
Wait a sec here. I know it's written that Miriam does in fact approach the princess, but do you think this is how it would happen? A lowly Hebrew peasant just waltzing up to the princess saying howdy do? She'd probably have the guards swarming on her if she did that. Anyway, Miriam offers their mother to be Moses' nurse, and the princess accepts. And, you know, I would like to see the story of a woman raising a child that she gave birth to, but has to hide that fact because he's being raised by her enemies. Too bad this movie never delves into that. We skip years later, and we see Moses having a wrestling match with his cousin Ramses, voiced by Alfred Molina. Don't want to be too similar to Prince of Egypt, now do we? An accident causes Pharaoh to scold them, Ramses tells Moses that he'll pay for this, blah blah blah, and after helping a slave plant a tree, Moses hears a guard being particularly cruel to a collapsed slave.
Stop! That's enough of that!
This is none of your business. I beat these dogs all the time. It's the law of the land.
And the law is unjust.
You need to be taught a lesson.
You'd kill Pharaoh's grandson?
I'd kill anyone who mocks Pharaoh's law. And by the looks of you, you're no royal grandson.
He doesn't know what Moses looks like? He's a royal worker and he doesn't know who the royal family is? Wait, what? The animation makes it look like the guards stabbed Moses. How did these animators find work? And then, all of a sudden, Moses' brother Aaron shows up and now explains that he's a Hebrew and that they're family.
No. I'm a prince of Egypt.
Yeah, we're totally different from that movie. Moses just goes along with this revelation like it was almost nothing, and Aaron gives him his donkey to try and escape with. It doesn't work. Ramses is glad to be rid of him as he casts him off into the desert. Later, his donkey leads him to a well. And you know, if you aim properly, you might be able to get Cloud's cell phone back. So the women at the well get harassed by some thugs until...
There first. Wait your turn. Or deal with me. I'm a dead man to Pharaoh, and my donkey has a bad temper.
I've heard of someone being a badass. I've never heard of anyone having a badass. Also, take a guess who's voicing Moses. I've been saving this until now, but time's up, it's Christian Slater. So let me put things in perspective. We have had the president of the National Rifle Association as Moses, we have had Batman as Moses, and now we got Slater. My only guess as to why they hired him is because the word Christian is in his name. If it's for another reason, I don't think I believe it. So the life of Moses as he lives in Midian is quickly glossed over by Ben Kingsley's narration, as we get to the scene where God, voiced by Elliot Gould, speaks to Moses through the burning bush. They do the whole staff becoming a snake thing, his hand turns leprous, even having God telling Moses to get his brother Aaron to help him speak to the Pharaoh. This is a common element left out of most adaptations, because it is preferred that Moses, the hero, tells Pharaoh himself to let his people go, as opposed to letting his brother Aaron do the speaking for him. Unfortunately, this movie drops a little accuracy after Aaron says all but 2 lines to the Pharaoh before giving the reins back to Moses. Oops. Moses says goodbye to his family as he leaves for Egypt. You should also say goodbye to his family because this is the last time we ever see them. They get an audience with the Pharaoh, Alfred Molina's talents are wasted, Moses' snake has a hearty nom on the magician snakes, and Ramses increases the Hebrews' workload. Look, this screenplay feels like it was made for an elementary school production. Only the basics are included here. And now we've reached the plagues. And to be fair, the most creative animation and camera techniques are used in this sequence. It still looks like crap, but this scene is the best the movie has to offer. What is that? Is that Pharaoh's son? That has got to be the worst CG modeling I've ever seen in my life! Look at those muscles, they're disgusting! I can model better than that! And I have! I go to a digital art college that's trained current Pixar animators, so I can safely say that even we beginners can do a better job than this! So now the final plague appears in the form of a wispy white substance that flies around taking lives. Gee, doesn't that sound familiar? I'm sure you know what happens next. Pharaoh's son dies, he lets the Hebrews go, and they all go to the Red Sea. And somehow their water rendering techniques got a whole lot better as to compared to earlier in the movie.
Where's your God now, Moses?
Nothing particularly notable happens as Pharaoh charges them after Moses splits the sea and closes it on them.
I told you they'd kill us. Didn't I tell you? They'll kill us all thanks to you.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention him. Just like a certain character in Star Chaser, he's a fat slave, always doubting the hero. He kinda reminds me of the airport security chief from Die Hard 2, but since he's an offensive straw man, he's in no way likable, especially during the part when they're all complaining for water and food.
Lord, these people are driving me mad. I just don't understand what you want me to do. I'd appreciate your help.
I have heard the murmurings of Israel.
Wait, is that? Ah, no! His arm is clipping through his robe! Ah! So the fat slave never stops complaining, even after Moses gives them water from a rock, manna from heaven, and quail falling from a sky, and it's just not enough to satisfy them. And he's the one who gets everyone clamoring for Aaron to make them a golden calf to worship, and threatens that they'll kill him and Miriam if they don't. Seriously, his whole existence is just to be wrong. There is no depth to him. After 40 days and nights, Moses returns with God's commandments.
The Lord Jehovah, has given unto you these 10 commandments.
Now, naturally, Moses is quite upset with the golden calf.
This is how you repay the Lord? He brought you out of slavery. He led you across the desert. He parted the seas to let you live. And yet, you doubted him. Don't you realize he loves you? He gave these to us, his commandments. All who believe in the Lord, all who are on his side, come to him. Walk towards me.
Well, are you people crazy? We have a golden card right here.
Today, you will witness the judgment of the Lord.
And now we get to the element that I despise the most about a lot of these movies. Censoring the story for children. It's no use trying to hide it. The Bible is full of gruesome violence, and it is written that when Moses sees the golden calf, he orders those who still follow God to pick up sword and kill all the detractors. He does not throw down the tablets and cast them all into hell. Religions can be a complicated subject for children, I understand that, but it's not much good to disguise the actions of ancient figures to make them out like Saturday morning cartoon heroes. A better way to teach children is to metaphorically retell events in new ways, something VeggieTales normally did pretty well. So Moses gets replacement tablets, and they build the tabernacle and the Ark of the Covenant to hold them in, but sadly the last 3 people working on it had some problems. Later, they skip to Miriam and Aaron dying soon before the Hebrews reach their 40-year journey to the Promised Land.
But the Lord chose you. One time, I failed him. So, justly, I was punished.
Yeah, they leave out all the wars and conflicts that they got into, including Moses disobeying God and stepping into certain waters that he wasn't supposed to. So they leave you in the dark if you haven't read the Bible, and Moses dies upon seeing the Promised Land, and the movie just ends. What can I say about this movie that I haven't already said? Basically, everything about this movie is bad. The modeling is bad, the rigging is bad, the weight painting is bad, the texturing is bad, the animation is bad, the writing is bad, the execution is bad, the voice acting is not bad, but mostly plain. As a Christian myself, I know that movies based on biblical stories are mostly niche appeal, but that's no excuse to not put any effort into making it. It seems to me that the majority of the budget went into hiring voice actors, leaving them with about $4.23 to animate the movie. As an animation fan, I'm insulted by the sub-amateur production. As a Christian, I'm insulted by the pretension of being truer to the Bible, but then bowdlerizing it for children. As a moviegoer, I'm insulted by the time I wasted watching this crap when I would have had a better time watching a special on the History Channel. I couldn't find the approximate budget for this movie, but it managed to gross a little over $1 million worldwide, and frankly, that amount astonishes me. Say what you will about Freddy as FR07, I certainly did, but it has a certain bizarre charm to it despite its incompetence. And hey, although Delgo was written after a TV tropes session, it had some interesting environments and really cool magic tech. It's very disheartening to know that some people have such low standards and would stoop to watching this drivel. I'm Shogun Gino, and this was Infamous Animation.